Now it's time to talk to one of the Dallas Cowboys front office members that had the board himself across the hall. Mitch LaPoint joins us now.
How you doing, guys?
On the draft show. Mitch, great first 2 days. What's on your mind as you now enter into day 3?
Well, I mean, just kind of stacking the board here in the 4th round, and I think we're just trying to find a guy that could come in and plug and play, and hopefully we can get a guy with some upside to start, potential to start. But there's a couple positions that we're really kind of targeting. I mean, we got to just see how it plays out, you know?
Mitch, I was just describing the sleeping on your board.
Yep.
You know, when you walked out of here last night, and maybe you didn't walk, maybe you were just sitting in your chair overnight and just hoping those tags would start blinking for you. But do you have, and I'm not going to ask you the names, but is there a decent enough run for you to sit there and say, okay, if this thing falls the right way, we can get our guy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we really kind of target about 4 or 5 guys that really, hey, we feel like in the 4th round, we feel like, hey, this will be a great value for us. But we'll just kind of see how it plays out. Hopefully we can just stay patient like we did yesterday, not get crazy and try to move up or do anything, and then just let our guy come to us. Like, that's kind of what happened yesterday, and it worked out in our favor. I mean, we got 2 guys that we thought, like, hey, we were considering both those guys as our 2nd pick, you know.
Wow, that's good to look at. And Director of College Scouting, you've been around this department for how many years?
I've been here
2005?
18 years. This is my 18th draft year.
Where does this class stack up? I'm just curious overall to some of the ones that you've had in the 17 previous years.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit lighter up front and a little bit stronger kind of in the middle, kind of where we are. But I would say, like, first round value, like, maybe in 18 years, maybe one of the weakest classes that we've had.
Wow.
You know, and it's really top. Second, third, 4th round, it's really thick.
Is that because of the pandemic?
I would
Mitch?
think so. I think it's pandemic, and a lot of those guys now, I think we're going to see this, I think, some of these kids that want to come out maybe get paid by their schools. I think it's just it's going to change, I think, the draft a little bit for us, especially those guys in the mid rounds, you know. They can make more money in the SEC than they would be coming in as an NFL rookie, which is crazy.
It is.
You know?
It's absolutely nuts. Mitch, I was wondering, you know, you talked about positions maybe that you'd be looking into. How do you weigh, like, when you're drafting last night and then you look at maybe some of those positions and how they stretch to where, okay, we could probably wait and we can take advantage of that maybe today?
Yeah, no, that's a big-time juggling act because there's some spots that we want to fill, and then you start looking at the depth, and you're like, okay, if we don't get this guy, then we're probably not going to get one. I mean, like, let's say hopefully, like, we have a couple spots here, like on the, you know, let's see on the offensive side that, hey, there's a couple spots we really want to fill needs, and there's some guys that are there, but if we don't get them, like, I mean, we're probably going to go a different direction, you know.
Would you say that you guys, when you just look at the class that you've had so far, you know, with Mozzie Smith and Schoonmaker and then Overshown last night, would you say that these guys are certain things right now? Mozzie, a really great run defender, Schoonmaker, a really good blocker, but that you look at it and say, but we believe Mozzie's got the ability to tap into this pass rush. We believe that Schoonmaker's got the ability to be a seam threat. How much of that projection is part of what you guys do with
I think
guys?
It is, absolutely. I mean, I think one thing with Mozzie, like, we talked to him through the process, even when he was here for the 30 visit, like, okay, his plan this year, he was going to be part of their nickel package. Well, they lose a guy, and then all of a sudden they can't have him out there. He wanted to be a part of that and wanted to develop there. But we look at the athleticism, the quickness, and we feel like, I mean, obviously the power. I mean, he can push the pocket. And that's one thing we talk about with our quarterbacks a lot of times. Hey, we want to firm up the middle. And Mozzie's he'll be driving guys back in the quarterback's lap. And then the one thing with Overshown is just like, I mean, okay, he's an elite special teams player. He plays like Dono. I mean, he hits like Dono. I mean, he runs, hits, and he's all over the place. I mean, the guy plays with the passion. And one thing about our defensive staff, like, one thing they want is guys that fly to the football and hit, and that's one thing Dan will not, like, let up. I mean, if the guy's soft at all, like, let's move on, you know. Yeah. So Overshown, like, checked every one of those boxes, and we had him here. You just feel the kid's got just passion and upside, you know.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about protecting the middle or how important that middle is for the quarterback, what do you think about in general how deep this guard class stretches?
I think, I mean, we're coming up to the last couple guys here, and then it kind of fills out. But I think one thing with Mike coming in from Green Bay is, like, they had a lot of success taking tackles, college tackles, and moving them inside. So there's a couple guys there down the road here that we could do that with. They have the length, they have the strength, and I mean, maybe you're a little lesser athletically, but they can function inside, and it gives you a piece that could play tackle and guard,
Mitch, this might be a little bit of a weird question, but I mean, having been here as long as you have, you've seen a lot of turnover with coaches.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're picking and you're drafting, how much goes into, okay, this fits this specific coach's scheme, but who knows, in 2 years, you're still going to have the player, but will you have the coach?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's great about our staff now is I think all these guys could fit any scheme. I think in the past, maybe we got a little like, hey, we narrow vision. Hey, we want this, or with Coach Marinelli. Hey, we wanted the Warren Sapp 3 technique, which those guys are like unicorns. But I think with Dan, like, hey, get us good players, and then Dan does such a great job communicating what the guy's going to do for us. And I think like being here 18 years, I've never felt better about our staff going over to coaching. We can have conversations with our staff. Everybody gets along, and then when you see things together, it just makes it easy.
First, I want to say thank you for your honesty with your answers. But there was some genuine excitement from every pick. And you mentioned that you guys actually got 2 of the guys that you felt very sure about.
Yeah.
How much did this group of gentlemen impress you guys? Because it seems like it's not just the player. There's a lot of character in all of these gentlemen.
Yeah, I think it's one thing with Will, and just even from our head coach down, is like, hey, love what they do. Like they gotta love the process. They gotta love the practice. Hey, our guys, we don't get our hands on them as much as we did 10 years ago. Brian remembers the two-a-days. I mean, you got to have guys that are self-motivated that you can trust, and I think it makes them better pros, and I think it's good for your locker room. And hey, Schoonmaker, I mean, he's like his brother. He's got a brother that's a Marine. Like the guy's like he's squared away. He loves ball. All 3 of these guys are going to be great for our locker room.
How hard was it? Oh, you going to reset this?
Yeah, I was going to reset it real quick.
Reset this guy.
Director of college scouting, Mitch LaPoint, joining us here on the Draft Show. There you go.
Yeah, I always got to reset. That's good radio man right there. Bad scout, bad radio man. The situation, how did Mitch – I've never been a part of a draft, and I've been doing this since '92, and you've been doing it a long time too. I've never seen a draft with as many short receivers in this draft.
Yeah, it was,
and I found myself struggling with the evaluation because of my days of saying I would never take a 5'9" guy here, and then guys like Dell and Aisha's over there schooling me up like this Dell kid's going to go fast, Brian. Just get ready. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I don't know. He's 5 this. But how did you guys look at the shorter receivers in this class?
It was tough because it's like one thing with Coach coming in here from Green Bay is like I think he sees kind of let's get the guys that are all big and they're versatile. You can play inside, outside. And then how many of these guys can you have on your roster? I mean, we have Turpin. So it's like, okay, where's the value? Yeah, Cook's now. I mean, Cook's exactly. He's 5'10", 180, and 4'3". And it's like, I think some of the times they're window dressing, honestly, when you go through it. And we went through our mock drafts and kind of playing out how it would go. I don't think that those were the guys that we were just really excited about. Like you said, you have to value them right.
Right.
And then I guess the way you would take one is if they fell. But yeah, it was tough because you had the kid Josh Downs. I mean, Zay Flowers. But Zay Flowers feels like a guy that he feels sturdier.
Plays big.
Yeah, I mean, then like Tank Dell. I mean, just the routes and then the return value. He was one of the guys that we were like, okay, we could see this guy really coming in.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
it was cheerleading going on over there for
no
Dell
doubt.
there. Yeah, for sure.
What about the big school versus the small school debates? Like even yesterday with the tight ends, we get Schoonmaker here.
Yeah,
great player, big school, fellow Michigan guy. But then let's say another tight end like Tucker Kraft, who went a little bit later, South Dakota State. You hear, all right, these small school guys, they better walk on water.
Yeah.
How do you judge the projection between the small school going up against lesser competition versus the big school guys?
Yeah, I mean, you better dominate. I think Cody Mock, like he checked that box. I mean, you put on any tape, he's burying guys into the ground. I think Tucker Kraft's the same way. Like when he got his hands on players, I mean, it was like a man amongst boys. But I mean, he got hurt, and then it's kind of like I don't know. I think we all felt like he had a ton of upside, and I think Schoonmaker for us is just a better fit right now. I mean, he's more ready to plug and play. You know what I mean?
So it kind of came out a little bit after the Mozzie Smith pick, but that Smith was one of Will McClay's pet cats, and that he really liked. We really liked Mozzie Smith. Do you have a pet cat that went in this draft and that you really liked overall? That you maybe not stood on the table for, but you just really enjoyed doing the scouting?
I mean, I think Overshone would be one of my top 5. Absolutely. I mean, you just love the way the guy can play. I mean, the speed, the coverage skill, the blitzability. I mean, he's a guy that can come in and do a lot of stuff for us. So we're excited about that one.
That's awesome. Mentioning Overshone, one thing I realized about him is that he had some changes in coaching, and then obviously the COVID year. For him, I feel like stability is important, and to really instill confidence in what he can do is important.
Yeah.
How did you feel about him if he's your pet cat?
Oh no, we feel like he's ready to roll.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like just talking to the people there, and we got some good sources on the staff there. Even like Tashard Choice is on the staff there.
Yeah.
Right.
But their strength staff is awesome. I mean, they're very wide open, and just the way the kid handles his business. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be great.
We got some 332-pound guards still on this board.
Yeah.
When we're looking at these guards, what are we looking for a Dallas Cowboys guard?
Well, I mean, I think we want a guy that hopefully they have position flexi, whether it's tackle or it's center. I mean, because, you always want guys that have multiple spots. I would say we want a guy that's athletic and that can pass protect and play firm, like we were talking about. I think that's one thing. NFL play strength is kind of, I think, it would be a checkbox for us.
Mitch, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking some time with us.
We're on until 5:30 if you want to keep
the headset.
Honestly, they'll give you a bottle of water.
Come on down. Well, you got a Miller Lite here.
You are kind of like a natural.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
You want to take a headset in
got
the
a
warm
future.
for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to take one of the warm?
Are they warm beers or are they cold? No, I'm just kidding.
Mitch
Check
LaPoint.
back with it. We'll get you a cold one.
Hopefully, like LSU, we can get somebody on the board here one of these days.
I'm trying.
No doubt.
I'm like Aisha. Like she talks about players. I can't talk about these LSU kids. I get too emotional about them. So when you
There's
take
a couple
one,
good ones hanging
there are
around.
a couple of good ones. That's why I was.
So I
asking.
went to Kansas. I mean, we took Dorrance Armstrong, and I was like doing backflips. So I was like, hey, that one played out pretty good,
Thank you, Mitch.
Yeah,
Appreciate it,
thank
man.
you very
Safe
much.
travels
Yeah,
to you, man.
appreciate it.
There he goes, Mitch LaPoint, Director of College Scouting for the Dallas Cowboys, taking some time with us today. That was so much fun.